Here's a hard truth. At some point in your career, you're going to have a bad boss. Maybe they micromanage you, or they lash out, or they pass blame onto others rather than dealing with it themselves. No matter what the problem is, a bad boss can turn even the best sales role into a real toxic, horrible environment to work in. But with these 3 steps that we're going to talk about in today's video, you can learn how to navigate any toxic office, reduce your stress, and say goodbye to your bad boss problems for good. Hi, my name is Will and I make selling simple. Now today's video is all about navigating office politics. I've been there and I'm sure you're probably, if you're watching this video, you might be there right now. We're going to look at 3 steps that you can take to manage those tricky situations. We're going to cover your emotional intelligence, becoming more assertive, and then moving. Now let's dive into each one of these in a little bit more detail. Because as it turned out, toxic workplaces in sales are a massive issue. Co-founder and CEO of Uncrushed, Tim, told me,
again, the research that we did, 55% of the respondents strongly agreed that their office surroundings to be highly politically charged. 43% strongly agreed their work environment is toxic.
And this came up recently as a problem for one of our Selling Made Simple Academy students. He's a business development rep and he's been feeding sales leads to 3 account managers. Now, these account managers all of a sudden, seemingly randomly, have started lashing out at him. And he thinks it's because he's doing such a good job that he's outshining them. Now, this is a very specific problem for this student of ours, but this 3-step process I'm going to suggest in this video will work for this problem and any office politics that you're going to face now or in the future as well. So first up, when dealing with a tough boss or co-worker, ask yourself, are you being emotionally intelligent about the situation that you find yourself in? Now, emotional intelligence, of course, has 2 sides to it, being aware of their emotions and also being aware of your emotions as well. With this first side of emotional intelligence, you've got to put yourself in the other person's shoes, because there's an infinite number of reasons that they may have a bad attitude in the office. Has the dog been ill that morning? Are they under pressure because their sales numbers as a whole across the team aren't adding up, even though you're smashing your sales quota? Maybe your boss isn't necessarily annoyed at you, they're just stressed in general about the looming recession and the thought of losing their own job. So you've got to look at both sides of the emotional equation here, both their emotions, and we need to look a little bit internally as well. So are you sure that you're not projecting any of your emotions, like jealousy or just general stress, onto the people that you're working with, skewing that relationship? It's worth just sitting down, taking a minute or 2 and having a mental check-in to look at both sides of this emotional intelligence scale and see if you can avoid people that are annoying you when their emotions are high, and of course remove anything that's leading you to kick off at others when they haven't deserved it as well. And this leads us on to step number 2, effective communication. And this often comes down to being more assertive about what you want from other people. Is someone just being a blatant ass to your face? Then tell them in no uncertain terms that you're not going to accept this unprofessional behavior that they're throwing your direction. And we've talked about this before on this channel, on this podcast a bunch of times now. The best way that I know how to describe assertiveness as a concept is with this quadrant diagram. The goal is to communicate what's going to make both you okay and the other person feel okay as well. That's assertive behavior and assertive communication. If you're okay but the other person is uncomfortable, then you're likely being aggressive. Likewise, if you're not okay but the other person is okay, then you're being passive about the situation and you deserve whatever you're facing because you're not trying to do anything about it. So as long as your communication leaves you feeling good and leaves your colleague feeling good, then you're being assertive, and then you can ask for what you want. You can ask for people to stop being so toxic, annoying, just pestering you, whatever it is that's ruining your workplace environment. And if all that fails, then we've always got number 3, which is to move. Because remember, you're in a sales role. If you can smash your quota, if you're being assertive about your wants and needs in your role, and you've got strong levels of emotional intelligence about how you communicate all of this with the people around you, and you're still having to navigate these office politics because you're surrounded by a bunch of idiots, well then it's time to start looking at a new role. If you can beat your quota in such a crappy work environment, I promise you that you're going to do even better in a stronger one. So start looking at your options and see what's available. I'm not saying that you need to quit immediately, but do investigate your options and move sooner than later. I always use this metaphor when I'm speaking with our students inside our training program. Life is just too short to be surrounded by people who drag you down. At most, you're only going to get 100 trips literally 100 trips around the sun before you're just dead. So if you're a capable salesperson, you're going to be welcomed with open arms in one of literally tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of companies in similar industries to the one that you currently work in. So it's time to put yourself first. If you get into a decent company that has a better working environment, you're probably going to make more money and be happier anyway. And so sometimes we've got to make a move. So there we go. If you enjoyed this video, why not click the video that's on the screen right now and continue making selling simple.